Yo, JD here, till Limitless, and as you can see, back on F1 2021, and today we start a brand new league racing season, and this is actually much sooner than expected, but since the release date has been announced for the F1 22 game, the 1st of July, we have actually had to bring our calendar forward in BRS, and we did the finale just last week. So if you haven't watched that video, I would strongly encourage you to watch it, because it was a fairly dramatic ending to the season. And coming into this one, very hungry to get another title, and the competition, I think, has improved even more, because now we have the likes of ETE Rusty, who has rejoined the league after participating in a few races last time. And first round here is at COTA, USA, Circuit of the Americas, which I will probably say, in terms of qualifying pace, is my worst track on the game. I've always struggled to hook up a lap here, but you can see going through Q1 we got through that pretty comfortably. We're actually going for a medium lap here, because if you can get through to the top 10 and start on mediums and there's no safety car, it's incredibly OP. So we tried to do a medium lap, do a 32.3, which isn't too bad, but the problem is there's such a big delta between the tyres and the pace of these drivers in here. It's going to be very, very difficult to do that. So we started a soft lap, last man to cross the line. You saw on the top right hand side, which you can't see because the donation thing is blocking it, but no one else is going to be able to set a lap. So I knew coming around the last corner, if we were in the top 10 we would have backed off, but we were currently in P15, so we decided to continue our lap and go through on softs. And you can see here the cutoff was a 31.2, which I don't think is possible on mediums, even for an esports driver. So, gone through to Q3 now. This is my first flying lap that I did, and you'll be able to see here, make a bit of a mistake. So that gave me a bit of reassurance for the final run that there was some time to make up. And going across the line, it's a 30.8, which I actually wasn't too dissatisfied with. But now this is my final lap of the qualifying, and it was my fastest. And overall, I was really proud of this lap. I was very happy of it, because I think last season I even struggled to get into the 30s. And yeah, so we put a bit of time into this, and you can see go through top one, making a bit of a mistake, but still gaining time on our previous lap. And just to give you a reference, Esports pole was a 30.1 on PC on a faster build. So I would say usually a tenth or two, if you can maximize it on PC, is in hand. So a mid 30 below is a pretty damn good time in itself. And you can see so far 600s up on our lap. Currently sitting in P4, which again I was quite content with, due to ET Rusty, Maris, and Levi, who has also returned to the league, racing in this opening round. I expected these guys to be ahead of me in the qualifying. So coming down through into here, managing to do this fairly well, and a 1.1 mil sector, which isn't too bad at all. Going through a star sector, I knew there was some time to be making up. Going through it, running a bit wide onto this curb, so it's not exactly what was it. ET Rusty does a 130.2, which is just insane. I didn't even look at that at the time. I was just completely focused. You can see we gained so much time for it, and going for this last corner, we absolutely nailed this last corner. Did that to perfection. Going across the line, it's a 30.6. Nice. And you can see I'm quite happy with that. But ET Rusty, a 30.2. That would have put him P6 on the grid for esports, and esports pole was a 30.1, and I strongly believe that this is the slower platform as well. So the pace that this man has is pretty incredible, and I wouldn't have been able to get in the top three anyway My PB was 0.5, so yeah, I pretty much maximised what I did. So starting P4, we've got Levi, TTM Kai, and ETE Rusty. I believe all these guys are actually in the team called TTM. Don't know what that stands for. Top Tier Motorsport. I believe so. So we're in a quite a good position. Maximised the qualifying. And we've got 5 fights here. And as they go out, we have a pretty poor reaction time to line, which means we're getting swallowed up by Maris and Goxie on the right hand side. So I knew I had to stay with this top 3. So managing to squeeze in between them. We're going to go around the outside of Goxie, using that momentum on the outside to get back into P4. So quite a nice recovery. Because if we lost those positions, or even one, then that could have really changed how this race was going to continue. Because I knew this top 3 of Levi, Kai, and especially Rusty, they are just absolutely rapid. And I'd probably say this top 3 in front of me are probably in the top 15, top 20 on pace on Xbox. And Rusty, I would confidently say on pure pace. I believe he doesn't use assists, doesn't use the ABS as traction anymore. Might still use the racing line, potentially. But his pace is just insane. It really, really is. So I knew I had to stay with him. See Kai making a bit of a mistake, and the first stages of this race, see Rusty is just pulling away, and we are just all hanging on for dear life at this stage. But as usual with my setups, I definitely tailored it a little bit more towards the race. I think these guys ahead of me are running 911 wings. I was running 1011, because tyre degradation is quite a big thing around here. So I knew in the first 3 laps, as you can see, we're really struggling to hang on. But I knew as the race went on, it would start to swing in my favour much, much more. So they're going to be fast here where the tyre deg hasn't really kicked in yet. But once it starts kicking in, with the high downforce that I have, then I should be able to bring myself back into this race. But right now, it's absolutely crucial that I stay within this DRS zone. Because if I lose the DRS and Rusty is leading this train, I think it's going to be very difficult to get back within it again. So this is a crucial moment of the race itself, where in the past I've kind of let this slip as we get our first track invalidation, another 2 of those, and we get a 3-second time penalty. And Rusty in the previous season, I think he left halfway through the season because he had a few inconsistent results. He's always had the pace, but sometimes just didn't have the consistency, or maybe, I wouldn't say racecraft, but race management potentially. But now it seems to be that if he fixes that, he's going to be a very difficult man to beat. So I know it's crucial to stay in this train here, trying to hang on as much as I could, and I think we have just about done it. So as we skip on to lap 5, this is where the tyre degradation actually starts to kick in, and you can visually see that we are much, much closer to this top 3. And it's kind of a norm in my races. I feel like I just get better as the race goes on, and you can visually see through the slow speed corners, and he has a little bit of a wiggle, which is an indication that his tyres are starting to go already. And you'll be able to see through here as well that I feel at this stage of the race, we were the faster car out of this top group. And I think that's really down to the setup that I was running, just a little bit more stable and kinder on its tyres as well. So each lap we were just getting closer and closer. And if you also wish to use my most updated setups, my YouTube membership, I always post them after the race as well. So if you click the join button, that is one of the benefits of that. But going through this first sector, we can visually see that we are just closing up. So this was fueling me with quite a lot of confidence at this stage of the race. So trying to get a really good exit, so slow in fast out here, using the ERS. So I sense this could be an opportunity to maybe get into P3 in this race. So coming through into this bottom corner. Kai actually runs out wide onto the curb, which means he's not going to get good traction. You can see has a bit of a squiggle here, and looks like he's not really fighting this too hard at all. So maybe he senses that we are slightly faster at this stage, so he doesn't make it particularly difficult, which means don't have to use a lot of the ERS. And now we're into P3 in this race, so making good progress. And now let's see how much we can close up on this top 2. But the problem was that Rusty is just so fast, and Levi had the DRS, and he was much faster than me in the straight line with the setup he was running. So it was going to be really hard to overtake Levi, being the third man in the DRS train, which we have gone on about a lot of time in my previous videos, is the worst place to be. And it really relies on him making a pretty big mistake if I want to get past him when he has DRS on Rusty. So coming through into here, let's see what happens. They actually both pit, and I get the DRS on the home straight, and I thought that was actually quite early for them to pit. So clearly they were struggling with their tyres, and I was really happy to see this. So I decided to go on for another lap, because again, if I'm going to be that third man at the DRS train at the current rates, especially with mediums where they don't degrade as much as the softs, it's going to be hard to overtake. But going into here, we were going a bit of a mistake and living to fight another day there. Don't think we lost that much time, maybe a bit, but not too much at all. And we managed to get away with that big time. And yeah, that just snapped to me absolutely out of nowhere. But next lap, at the end of this lap, we didn't box again. And the reason why I didn't is because I've raced a lot of times around USA, and usually on the normal strategy, you catch up to the alternate strategy, the people on the mediums, and you get held in traffic quite a lot. And I was seeing from the gap from the mediums that they weren't really catching me that much at all. And I could see on the mini-map where Rusty was in the Mercedes, he's right in amongst some cars. So I felt like I wouldn't be losing that much time. But with that mistake, I've lost a little bit more time than expected. But also, I felt having 2 lap fresher tyres would give me the chance to be very strong at the end of the race. And having fresher tyres is very powerful around here, because I felt if I just pitted when they did, then with the tyre deck not being as high as it was on the softs, Levi would just sit in his DRS and I would just be that third man in the DRS train. There's nothing I could do. So I wanted to try and get back within the DRS, then have the 2 lap fresher tyres, have that extra grip, extra traction, and I thought I would give myself a much better chance. And I was just hoping that they were going to be held in traffic. So that's what I was really banking on when making that decision. But coming through into here, we've managed to catch up to Snipes, my championship rival from last season, who is on this alternate strategy, so is not having a good race so far. And you'll just be able to see we just have so much more grip at this stage of the race. But these moments are crucial because we need to try and get through this pack as quick as we can. And yeah, this is costing us. And we only have 8 races in this championship. We have a short season due to release of the game. And you can see with the grip we have, we just go just outdrive him, getting the inside for that corner. And now we're behind my teammate from last season, Millsy, trying to get exit. You can see just the grip we have in the apex is just far superior. He's not going to really fight this too hard because he's effectively a pit stop down at this stage of the race. And now we're up into P12. So now we've got ETE Maris next man up. We're just going to save our ERS here, and we're just catching people at kind of the wrong time at this point. But I was hoping if I could get through here and the leaders of Rusty would be held as we got down the inside of the Alfa Romeo here. And that was a pretty nice move. And now we're setting our sights on Maris. And you can see next lap here, coming into this bottom corner, we're up into P11 in this race. And Rusty and Levi haven't actually caught the leaders just yet. I think they're just around in 3rd or 4th place at the stage. I knew Maris was running out of ERS on the previous lap, so I have to give it everything because I can't afford to be staying behind. So we'll go take the racing line and try and go around the outside of him here, and don't think it's quite going to work, but it's round 1 of the championship, so we can't afford to be taking that many risks, because if we get a DNF and no points, Rusty wins, and he's got a 25-point lead, which we can't afford to have. And this track I did not expect to win or do well, so if we could get some good points, then there are plenty of other tracks coming up, which I feel a lot more confident on as well. So coming through into this last corner, going behind Goxie, and I think he's going to try and make a move on this teammate now. We're up into P9 and going to star 1. He's going to go down the inside of him, and I believe Rusty still hasn't got into the lead of this race, so he's going to be held. I think my teammate on the alternate strategy has stayed out still, so we're going to see what we can do through here, and you can just see the speed difference we have, and I just don't think we managed to get through the traffic that quickly. That mistake we did could have maybe gave us another second up the road, and catching people at the right time could be the difference in this race here. So we can't afford to hang around. We're going to go down the inside of this AlphaTauri, trying to get a good exit. Been compromised slightly with the line, and looks like he's using his ERS to fight this, but again, he's effectively a pit stop down at this stage. So yeah, having to use a bit more ERS than we would have liked in that scenario. And now we're up into P8, and looks like Rusty has now got into the lead of this race. So he isn't that far ahead. We have 10 laps of this race to go. Goxie going down the inside of GPR Dizzy, who I would expect to be coming in at the end of this lap. And you can just see the grip we have. We only have 1 lap or 2 lap fresher tyres than Goxie, but you can see how much of a difference that makes in grip. So again, that was giving me a lot of confidence that we could still do this to get into the lead group. Coming off the exit here, looks like all the medium runners have almost pitted now, and we're going to go down the inside of Goxie. Looks like he leaves room, but he decides to fight it on the outside, which isn't really going to help us too much of just slowing each other up at this stage. But now we're up into P5. My teammate has still stayed out, so I think he was trying to slow down the likes of Rusty, Levi and Kai. As we skip towards the end of the lap, my teammate now pits, so everyone on the alternate strategy has pitted now. Now up into P4, and TTM Kai actually has a 3-second time penalty. So now we're going to see how quickly can we close in on this lead group. And at this stage, I felt that this gap was very doable to close in. Having 2 lap fresher tyres should make a fairly good difference as the race goes on. The closer we get towards the end, the higher the tyre wear, the stronger and faster we should be compared to this front group. And you can see through this first sector, gaining quite a bit of time. But the problem is that the man leading this DRS train is ETE Rusty, and even though he has 2 lap older tyres than us, he was lapping the same pace as us as well. And yeah, that's crazy pace for him. This is, I feel, a good track for me in terms of race pace, but his pace was just so good here. And you'll be able to see as we skip onto the laps, the gap is pretty much staying the same. And I felt like if it was anyone but Rusty there, then I think we could have been closing in pretty quickly. And again, the plan was to try and catch this group, have the fresher tyres, which would then make it even easier for me to overtake Levi for second place, and then get the DRS from Rusty, a free DRS for the last few laps, and then just sit in that second place until the last lap. That was the plan, because I felt if I picked at the same time, then Levi's straight down speed was just too strong, and the tyre deg wouldn't be enough on this medium tyre to have the same effect as it did on the softs in the first stint. So that was the thought process. But you can see again, we gained a lot of time in the corners But as we're going to go on the straight, we just lose all that time again. So everything we make up in Sector 1, Sector 3, we just lose on the straight itself. Because Rusty is just dragging them along at the same speed. And yeah, his race pace was just so good as well. Which again, I think was one of his maybe weaknesses in the previous season. But I know he's very good at this track as well. And yeah, it just felt like no matter what I threw at this, I just couldn't close in. If Levi and Kai lost the DRS to the cars ahead, then I felt like we would be closing very quickly, because you can see Goxing behind is falling back very quickly. Same with Maris as well, as we come towards the end of lap 21. And you've made up a little bit of time, but it's not quite enough for this stage of the race. But as we now skip to lap 27, you see the gap has come down. TTM Kai has lost the DRS to Levi, and you can see once he lost the DRS, we caught him very quickly. I think he lost it on only just the previous lap. I mean, gained about 6 to 8 tenths on that lap himself. So it's purely the fact that Rusty was just a very fast car pulling these drivers along, and you can just see the grip we have as we come towards the Sector 3. You'll be able to see how much we actually close in this sector, and you can say we're already within 1 second. And yeah, if we could have got there, if we could have got through that traffic a bit sooner. But I don't really regret my decision so much, because I think we would have just been stuck in the net P3 if we just pitted on the same, due to the medium to high deck is not being as high as the softs. But as I come on the exit of here, change my wheel. My wheel decided to change profile to PC or PS4, which means I had to. It's a bit of a long process to get back to normal, and yeah, we lost a bit of time there. But I don't think it's going to be making so much of a difference. And for some reason, I thought that was actually the end of the race there, as we were coming around that last corner. But you could see within the space of a lap, we managed to close back in once again, going across the line. It's going to be ET. Rusty wins this race. We come home in P3, which I think
I thought that was
pretty much the maximum we could have done there today. So overall, I was fairly happy with that result. That track has not been particularly kind to me in the past, and yeah, I think it was worth the gamble on that strategy. Yeah, we could have hit at the same time, but again, I just think we just would have been stuck there in P3. I think it would have taken a big mistake from Levi for us to get past, and yeah, if we could have got through that traffic quicker and got on the back of the DRS with these 2 lap fresher tyres, then I think we could have done something. So we'll take the points here today. GG to Rusty and Levi, starting the season with a podium. Make sure you download the app in the description if you'd like to keep up to date with the standings and the calendar that are coming up for this BRS season. Make sure you also check out the Bybit QR code that I have on the screen here. The first 100 people that register and sign up and make any deposit of any amount will automatically be entered into our monthly prizes, which ends on the 13th of May. And the prizes that will be going on in the future, many of them will contain Formula 1 tickets. So make sure you register and sign up there. A link in the description. Also, tutorial in the description if you'd like to know how to use the website properly. Thank you so much, and I will catch you very soon. Peace.